Terry.
Talk to me, Dan.
Rugby League's back. This weekend is the season proper, which means tonight is our very special reverse Mad Monday.
It is.
What are you supposed to be?
Harry Potter.
I thought we were going as fairy princesses.
You got it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Can I borrow that for 1 second?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Why did you send me this time, Dan? You gotta stop doing that, bruv.
Ah, it's better.
Thanks,
mate, this is for you.
Oh, cheers. Look at that.
Terry. Hey everyone, and welcome back to this week's edition of Rugby League Outlaws. We're of course brought to you by TopSport, onelittlefootyfan.com.au and the Stubby Club. Thanks as always for your support. Make sure you give them some love. There's pretty big games this weekend. Get on, buy your merch, thumbs up, lose plenty of money with TopSport. Speaking of losing money, mate, Josh, thanks for covering. I've sent Terry across to Tasman because he wouldn't dress up as requested. Looking forward to the football this weekend, mate?
Mate, can't wait. It's been a long off season, but can't wait. The footy's a couple of days away. Ready to rip in.
It's all positive, except obviously the big news. Nicho Hynes is injured, which, look, not a big deal.
Nah, not worried.
Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Ah, man, it says Nicho Hynes is out this weekend. Fucking son of a... Let's pretend like it doesn't matter.
No, it won't. Oh, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
So yeah, look, not a big deal. But as we play South Sydney this weekend, officially yesterday, in front of the press conference, was asked about 30 times. Very uncommitted.
Yep.
But we're hearing that he may miss a week, possibly two. It's calf injury. What are your thoughts?
Look, it's not the end of the world. Like, obviously, we would rather have him there, but it's a long season, you know. We've got finals, grand final to win. So if we have to miss a couple of weeks to make sure he's right, I think we'll be okay.
Absolutely agree. I've seen people saying, oh, the season this, the season that. Okay, worst case scenario, misses 4 weeks. So what? You show me a team who's played with a full strength team. You know, Penrith last year, Mr. Nathan Cleary for the opening 3 weeks, went 3-0. We played South, we beat South with or without Nicho Hynes.
Well, we had Trindle that led us to a victory against Melbourne last year. So, you know, we've got backup.
Completely right. Look, I'm not worried. Obviously, as you said, it's not ideal. You want to start with your best team. Cronulla's recent record in the first round, not good.
Not good.
From about 130. You know, South Sydney, pretty dangerous
Good
opponent.
side.
Okay, we're at home, which is, you know, I'd rather be playing away with that sort of record. But I mean, if we want to win a premiership, with or without the Dally M medalists, we've got to give it a fair crack.
And we've got to beat these type of teams. You know, Souths are going to be one of those sides at the end of the season when it gets tough. So if we can beat them early in the season, and that's the thing, you've got to remember that sides will be rusty in the early rounds, so we might be able to jag something out of them anyway.
Yeah, completely fair. What do you think about the club not coming out and saying, because it broke, our mate Guru actually was the first one, thanks Guru by the way, it tweeted something along the lines of he may miss 8 weeks. Now he did go out to say this is just what I've heard, it hasn't been confirmed, etc, etc. I messaged Guru on a cheeky on Saturday and had a bit of a word, all good, love the bloke. What do you think of the club not coming out and saying, oi, this is what it is?
Look, I understand they probably want to keep their cards close to their chest. You want to be able to play ducks and drakes with the opposition. Is he going to play? Isn't he going to play? They have to prepare for two different types of players. So I get it. They probably were pretty filthy that it leaked, but that's footy.
Everyone got on it, and we'd heard rumblings. I mean, in our group chat, he had ice on his calf, and there were...
I sent that picture in.
Yeah, and there were photos of him in training, sitting out and stuff. So, I mean, the hints were there. But those that haven't seen Nicho's press conference, jump on. It's a masterclass on how to say a lot without saying anything.
Exactly.
Captain's run, we'll see how we're doing. We're preparing just in case. I want to play in round one. Then someone pushed him. He said, look, it is sore. I have missed training, but I want to be right to round one. That's how you answer a press conference. If he's out for 8 weeks, he's going to say, look, I'm out for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
If you touch and go, play like Nicho did, I love it. I think it's absolutely fine.
Yep.
And who cares about Supercoach when it comes down to it?
It's not my points. I'm not playing this year.
Other big news yesterday, Spencer Leno has come out and officially told the Panthers, thanks but no thanks, I won't be there next year. Look, before we talk about what this means for Penrith, what are your thoughts on them coming out and saying he said no, so he's not going to play for us next year?
Well, it's interesting that they told the truth.
Yeah, that's true.
I like that. So, I mean, look, Spencer's a good player, but is he gonna be the difference between winning a comp and not? Probably not. And the price that the Roosters are apparently paying 600,000 they're talking. That's a lot for a guy that's impact of about 15, 20 minutes.
It's a good point. He's going to have to play a lot better than he had. I mean, not better. He's going to have to give a lot more than what he done. Going back to Penrith, though, they seem to be taking other teams' thunder by saying, and I don't necessarily bag them for this, but they're coming out and saying, no, he won't be with us next year. And he said this and he said that. Okay, it's not really their place.
Yeah, an announcement for not really saying too much, just saying, hey, he's not going to be here. We wish him the best of luck. Well, you're taking the thunder of, the signing from the other club.
Yeah, which we look like it'll be the Roosters again. We'll talk about the salary cap later, trust me. Penrith, though, since they've won the title, albeit 2 titles, probably should have been 3 to be honest, they've lost, a pretty handy centre in Stephen Crichton, who's come out and said that it's not about money or position. What is it?
Yeah.
They've lost Spencer Leniu, and there's other players that, aren't quite... It looks like Scott Sorensen's on his way out too.
Yeah.
Api Coruscant obviously in kick-out. We didn't see this when the Roosters went back-to-back. Well, what's happening? Are they getting out? Are they chasing money? Is it just salary cap?
I think it's just it shows that the salary cap works for the most part, that teams can't stay together forever, and when you're successful, other clubs want a piece of the cherry.
It's just a shame they're not going to like Newcastle or...
No one wants to go to Newcastle.
Very true. Or not the Bulldogs and the Tigers. They're in their own rebuild. But I mean, Spencer Leniu starts for the Warriors.
Yeah, he starts at a few clubs. Those bottom 8 clubs, those bottom 6. He would get a start there. So, the Roosters obviously see something in him if he's going to be starting in their pack.
That's true. Warrior Hargrave's looking towards retirement. Probably
Last
a
year
like
his
for
contract.
like. It's a pretty good pickup. All seriousness. The other player, of course, is Dom Young, who's left a team that we're tipping to come towards the bottom of the table for a team that, looks pretty close to a premiership this year. Is the salary cap working?
Oh, I'd still say, you'd have to say yes, because you never see a side at the top for too long. Besides, obviously, you might have your Melbournes and your Roosters, but for the most part, the transition of power, if you will, is pretty consistent. We've seen the Sharks up there for a couple of years.
Yeah, true.
We've seen the sides like Canberra coming up. They played a grand final a few years ago. They've kind of dipped back. So yeah, and I think the well-run clubs tend to be the ones that stay up there. The Roosters are an immaculate club when it comes to off-field and setting up players for life. That's why you want to go there, because you might take a bit less to have the next 20 years of your life sorted out.
Yeah, that's very true. We were actually talking off camera before that a Dom Young can get 700 to catch cold for Newcastle, or he can score 30 tries at the Roosters and maybe pinch a title. Who knows? They're pretty close. And then, as you said, he's set up for life. He can go play in England for double the money. So look, let's the elephant in the room. I've heard it called today. Everyone's saying that the Roosters are signing everyone. I just want to go on camera right now and say they're not cheating the cap.
No.
It's too hard to get away with something. The NRL will go to them and say, you signed Spencer Leniu, show us your workings.
Yeah.
I know that they're run by some pretty clever accountants at the top, but going back to what you said before, you can't convince me that Dom Young wouldn't accept more at the Roosters than he would to stay at Newcastle.
No, I mean, look, at the end of the day, you've got to think players are different to normal people. Sometimes success means more to them than money. And if you want to win comps, that's your whole life has been building to winning NRL premierships.
That's true.
You'll take a little bit less, and you can make that up. But you make enough money to invest that later in life and sort yourself out. But when you're in your 20s or in your early 30s, you want to win football games.
Yeah.
You want to win comps.
Well, you saw it with Api Coruscant. He won a couple of premierships. Okay, he's cashed in now and go and play for the Tigers. He'll improve them. But you imagine if the Roosters came call and said, "Oh, Api, it's taken 100 grand less
100%.
in a heartbeat." So, look, yeah, the salary cap is working for mine. I 100% agree. The way they use the cap is different because, like, the Bulldogs, okay, before the most recent rebuild, rabble.
Yeah.
Right now, the Dragons are rabble. They had to pay Ben Hunt 1-point-something million. He's not worth that on the open market.
He's a very good player, but he's also, I think he's about 33 years old.
Spot on, yeah.
You should be paying that sort of money for your 27-year-olds.
Yeah.
He's got a couple of years left max, and he's only going to get worse, unfortunately.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's not a knock on Ben. I think he's a fantastic player, but he's not going to get better and make that money worth what he's getting paid.
Yeah, I agree. Alternatively, though, you look at the Roosters. What's 1.2 million get? Dom Young and Suaalii, both in the prime of their career. It's how they're using the cap, and again, it's what the players are looking for. Not all players are, can be put into the one basket, but. We saw Jesse Ramian, which we'll touch on in a minute, re-sign for Cronulla. Now, the Tigers came knocking and offered him big money. He said, no, thank you. I'm set up at Cronulla.
Yeah.
So obviously his personal life and his comfort meant more than the big cash on offer at the Tigers, who themselves are building something pretty impressive, halfback aside. So, it's not all about that, but it's how you use your salary cap.
Exactly.
Plus, when you got 1.6 million is the reported, who knows what it actually is, in a fullback turned 5'8", who's more interested in milkshakes and doing flips off the roof, it's how you use your salary cap. Now, across the Tom Ugley's bridge, the Dragons.
The little brother.
Little brother. Hashtag little brother. Are in the news again.
Yep.
For positive this time, Josh?
I wouldn't think so.
No, it never is with the Dragons, unfortunately. Another week, another, albeit minor incident. A couple of players dragged out. 6 a.m, I believe they were out drinking too after getting smashed in the Charity Shield.
Yeah. That's interesting, especially after a trial.
Yes.
You think it's coming up to the season. You've already drunk your alcohol in the off season, and now's the time to bunker down and get ready for a season. Already knowing you're under the pump, the entire club is under the pump, and they're going out after a trial, which they got pumped in, to have a few beers and punch on with each other.
Yeah, a few too many beers. Let's break it down. A couple of players getting in a push and shove. I don't know if a punch was ever thrown. Conflicting reports. Who cares? You're out at 6 a.m. a day after losing a trial match, and you're at a point where you're getting pulled apart from your mates. This should be the time you're coming together.
Yeah, 100%. And if you look around the top clubs again, they're never getting up to this nonsense. Penrith, if you watched the documentary the other night, the Penrith, they're a tight-knit group. They all love each other. You might get into tussles at training and whatnot, and the boys will be boys. Not that that's an excuse to be an idiot, but to be getting pulled apart before a ball's been kicked this year on the drink, it already screams big trouble. It
does. And another negative, I hate to harp on the Dragons, I really do. It hurts me right in here.
Yeah, I don't.
No, me neither, I can't even lie. Their problem seemed to be that the story got out, not that it happened. There's a snitch. Who cares?
And it seems to be a continuous problem with the Dragons that news is always leaking out. All the bad stuff seems to always come out. And again, you're just not seeing that across the NRL at the moment. For the most part, touch wood, the boys across the game and the girls are keeping out of trouble. But the Dragons are consistently in the news for the wrong.
Yeah, look, their own worst enemies, which again, can't say I'm not enjoying it because we've been there plenty of times. But there's got to be a point where they look at the head coach and say,
is there a respect there?
I don't know. Would that happen at Melbourne? Now, I know they've had their issues, but as soon as it came out, they were in front of the cameras the next day getting reamed, and Bellamy was sitting right there as if to say, you cop it.
Yep. And I get it goes back to a lack of respect for me because Cronulla players, they all love fits. They were cleaning the stadium on their hands and knees with mops and brooms. The Dragons wouldn't do that. No. Not a club that is together.
Completely fair. And finally, Josh, we have a topic that's near and dear to my heart, being that I brought it up earlier yesterday on Twitter. Seems to be a common thread these last few weeks. Juniors versus local juniors. Saw Spencer Linu sign away. Penrith Juniors, played for him for 10 years. Born in Auckland, not a local junior. Do you or do you not agree with that? Or do you think that if they've been in the system for so long, they should be classified as local?
Look, I guess it depends on how long you've been there, but you're a local junior if you were born, raised, came through all the ranks, went through school there, or I count all that as part of being a local junior. If you were there from when you were 15, 16, you're a junior. The club helped you become the player you are, but you're not local.
I would have thought, maybe it's just me, that in local junior, the local tag was the dead giveaway in this.
Yeah, it's funny how words seem to have meaning and people just ignore that.
Penrith fans. Now, I heard someone today say that they were from out Bulli, I believe, and I said that's Campbelltown because anything west of Sutherland Station is Campbelltown. Facts.
Yep.
Facts. Locality. Chad Townsend, as much as I, don't have, not my favourite player of all time, born in Caringbah, played through, since he could kick a football all the way up to winning a premiership with Cronulla. Local junior.
Yes.
Okay, Britton Nakora has played with Cronulla for as long as I can remember. Born in New Zealand. Not a local junior.
Very simple.
It's so simple.
Just read the words.
There just seems to be this blow up that every junior is a local junior. Okay, you junior, fantastic. Penrith have the best juniors in the game. But they were saying Kikau was a local junior. He's from North Queensland. He played in their under-19s, their Toyota Cup. I think he won a title up there. Nathan Cleary, local junior.
Yes.
Born, raised, played all the way through. It's so simple, Josh.
That's try and tell that to the Twitter.
Josh,
Talk to me, Dan.
it's time to talk some black, white and blue. So big news out of the club yesterday.
Yep.
Some good, some bad. We'll start with the negative, as is the way. People feed off it.
Yes.
Nico Hines injured, potentially out for, well, they're saying, maybe week 1, maybe week 2. Well, let's say 2 weeks, whatever. Who cares? Hopefully it's not longer. 2 weeks. Why is this not the end of the world?
Because it's a long season. There's about, 25 games plus finals. You don't want to run your race too early. If he comes out and plays and he does it and he's an 8-week injury, then we're in some trouble. So we've got the cover for it. I think we'll be okay. We might not necessarily win now. I'm a bit more up in the air about the result, but Trindle is a good player. I've always backed Tricky. I think he can do a job. He can goal kick. His defence is good. So I think we'll still be in the game, 100%.
100% agree. The Dragons will disagree, but you can't win a premiership in the first 2 weeks. You can lose it though.
Yep.
Because if you put Nico on, he does his calf and he's out for 8 weeks, we're really behind.
Yep.
We're a Nico-centric team, as are most teams with their halfback. Going back to Trindle, very good shout. Last year, didn't contribute a whole lot, except when he played 80 minutes.
100%.
You can't put a player who, I think he's like 25 or 30 games. He's not a rookie, but he's not a rusted on Wade Graham that can come in and do anything. With 300 games behind, on his experience and his resume, you can't throw him in with 20 minutes to go and the game's, either won or lost and say, do something spectacular. We saw him against Manly, I think we're 42-0 up or something. He threw an intercept, he tried too hard.
Yep.
He didn't do that against Melbourne when we played for 80 minutes.
That's because I think that's the thing. He's a confidence player, and I think he's trying to prove to everyone how good he can be. Mm-hmm. Whereas when he plays a full 80 minutes, he's got time to get into the game, put a good kick in, have a run. And he's got a good running game. Get into some defence. He can kick a 40-20. He can kick. We saw goal kicking against the Trials.
That's true. Yeah, nailed a couple from the
sideline. So. I still believe in Tricky. I think he could be a halves pairing still for Hines when Moylan leaves. So I will still be excited to see him on the weekend.
100% agreed. Now I have seen some people come out and say we need to blood Peru. He's a development player. He can't play before. I think it's week 8 or 10. Don't quote me on that. He's unavailable unless we're missing like 50 players. It's not going to happen. It's going to be Trindle, and I'm okay with that.
You don't want to throw a kid in this week anyway.
Not against South.
No. You want this guy to play 80 minutes, like the problem with Tricky. You want him to play 80 minutes in reserve grade, play against men, learn his game, and his time will come.
Exactly right. Now, where the Jets are playing South at Henson, he'll be playing a pretty good South team. I mean, they finished in the finals last year quite easily. So, playing 80 minutes. I have no concerns with Peru, and I have no concerns with Trindle. I'm actually excited to see what he can do.
Yep.
Obviously, though, you'd rather have Nico Hines.
Obviously, he's the best player in the game at the moment. We have to go off at the Dally M.
Undisputedly, yeah.
And looked great in trials and for the Indigenous side, man of the match in that game too.
Very true.
It's disappointing. You can tell how gutted he was in the interview today. He really wants to play, but I hope common sense prevails. If he's not right to go, and possibly anyway, I'd probably give him the week anyway, just to be safe.
I'm with you. Safety first. If it's 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever.
Yep.
We'll win them both anyways. Now the good news. Another re-signing. Jesse Ramian has put pen to paper. Was really quick on the socials too. Love the way he talks about the club. Says he wants to win a premiership.
Yeah.
Music to my ears.
Yeah, and I think he feels at home at the Sharks, and I think he probably felt that when he went to Newcastle, that this is where he belongs, this is where he wants to be, it's where he feels comfortable, loves the area, loves the club, the fans love him, and looks in tremendous nick.
He does.
He's lost a few kilos. Maybe that upper body strength might be interesting to see how that plays out, because that was one of his strengths as a player the last few years.
Yeah, true.
But looks really fit, maybe a touch quicker. Can't wait to see him play on the weekend.
Look really good in the trials.
Yeah.
I know there was one time, I think Braden Burns got on his outside, so he dragged him into row Z and said, not today, mate. So, I'm super happy about the re-signing. It was one of the ones we had to get done.
Yeah.
Talakai and he formed a centre pairing last year that was like, power speed. I know Talakai had his issues defensively, and Ramian can find a penalty. I'm on record as saying Kyle Iro, will play centre for Cronulla for, hopefully 10 plus years. Won't be at Ramian's expense though.
No, it won't be.
Very, very happy with that re-signing, which of course means that, he adds to Talakai and Ronaldo officially. We've heard that Will Kennedy's close and Sione Katoa has evidently re-signed, which hasn't been announced yet. We got to go to the official. Hasn't re-signed. Other players off contract, I know Sam Stonestreet is either this year or next year. He's one we got to look at. Nico Hines was mentioned today in the press conference that he's very close, that he wants to stay here, I believe.
Oh, he said he wants to play with Fitz for his entire career, and Fitz has just re-signed, so if you put 2 and 2 together, you'd like to think that he'd be signing long term.
How good's that to hear? Like, honestly, there were times years ago where that just wouldn't happen.
Just having the best player in the game that wants to be at your club, it feels really good.
It does feel really good. Of course, Teague Wilton's the big one, though.
Yes, and I think on NRL 360 or maybe on Twitter, I saw somewhere that he is in demand. So we've got to be really careful on that one because he could be a future rep star.
He's the one. Terry has gone on record to say they'll play Origin either this year or next. I don't know. There's some fairly handy forwards. I know Angus Crichton's up in the air at the moment, so maybe there's a spot there in the Blues lineup. Yeah, Teague would be the one that I would close the door on him tomorrow and say, wait, what do you want? Let's get this done. Don't go outside.
He's incredible. He's an amalgamation of Wade with this brute strength, and he's tough, and he's got a bit of speed, he's got a bit of footwork, he's got a bit of everything. So he's that kind of Wade mould, but 10 years younger.
Yeah, completely true. All right, let's put it on the board. You got Kennedy, you got Katoa, who we're going to assume isn't signed yet.
Yep.
We got Teague and we got Stone Street. They're the 4 that are off contract, according to NRL.com, ZeroTackle.com. If we're wrong, well, excuse us, we tried our best. In which order are you going those? Who's your one that you have to sign now?
I really want to keep Sione Katoa. I know that may be a little contentious with Sam Stone Street coming through. I know he's got big raps, but I love Katoa. I love what he brings to the game, the energy, the boys love him. He's really blossomed as a player and as a person over the years. He was quite quiet, and you see him on social media now, and in the interviews he's a bit more outspoken, and he's a great player.
Comfort, right? Yeah. I still maintain if he plays, we beat North Queensland. Because with the greatest respect to Connor Tracy, Katoa scores that try.
100%.
So you got Katoa, I got Teague Wilton. Only because if Katoa doesn't re-sign, we got Stone Street ready. If Teague goes, there's no one like Teague Wilton coming through. There are some very good players, Colhoun, other players in that sort of mould, but there's no Teague Wilton. So for me, it's Teague. Will Kennedy?
Yeah, I would re-sign him purely based on the fact that there's not much out there at the moment on the market.
Yep,
and I think he's got 1 year left on his deal. Maybe it might even be running out this year. I'd give him a 2-year deal just to see how he goes. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that last year he had his ups and downs. He had injuries, suspensions. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and give him this year, but he needs to prove himself. He needs to step up. He looks a bit bigger, looks a bit stronger.
Definitely.
It looked lightning when he ran down old mate on the weekend against the Dogs. Look, you don't lose that talent, but he needs to get that confidence back.
Yep, agreed. Everything you said, 100% echo. The only thing I would say is Joey Manu's off contract at the end of next year. I'd be just sending him a text.
Oh, you'd be having a word, definitely.
And Suaalii too. But yeah, look, if they re-sign Will Kennedy tomorrow, I'm not upset about it. And of course, Nico Hines is the other one. I've seen some people come out and say, look, we got to wait to see what he does this year. No, we don't. Let's get him signed yesterday.
No, I'd give him 5 years. Absolutely. And I don't think that's silly. 5 years on top of the probably 2 he's got left, make him a Shark for life.
100%. Add another 5 after. I'm completely fine with that. Bit happy on the side news. Toby Rudolph will be losing that hair for a good cause.
Yeah, I was very surprised because I remember with interviews where he used to say that his hair was his good luck charm when he broke into the grade and after his injuries. So I think he's going to look good without it. It'd be a shame to see it go, but it might not be as hot on those Sunday afternoon games with the long locks.
Exactly right. I'm looking
for a good cause.
That's a great cause. Make sure you get on and donate. I'll try and put a link in if YouTube doesn't block it like it did with the Tipping Comp last year. By the way, Tipping Comp, get in. It'll be in the description this week. Toby, great. Love what you're doing, mate. Absolutely. Can't wait for an aerodynamic Toby.
And ready for a big year, I think.
Huge. 5 tries at very least. And we're going to end with some serious news. The Cowboys, thanks to them, they've agreed to this. It's pretty obvious, though, to be honest. We're playing them in round whatever it is. Player of the match, Paul Green medal.
Yeah, I think it's really important to acknowledge, what he did for both clubs. Won a premiership as coach for the Cowboys and was a great player and servant for the Sharks. And I think it's just really nice.
It is. It'll bring attention to a negative that doesn't get spoken about enough. Just get it out there, and just to get him out there, as you said, he did amazing things for both clubs. I love it. This is what rugby league's all about.
100%. Bring people together for a good cause.
Josh.
Dan.
Time for some TopSport tips. Our favourite time of the week. I have missed this segment so much. Now, you wouldn't know, but behind the scenes, TopSport, great friends of the show. Thank you so much to Tristan and the team. They hate us.
Why do they hate you?
Because we keep tipping too well and cost them too much money. They send us emails and we just put them straight to spam.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So here we are, making you more money. Please, TopSport, get them. Tell them Dan sent you. Look, Thursday night football, mate. What a way to kick off the season. Parramatta Eels, I believe they might have lost the grand final last year.
Maybe. Might have heard something about that.
Yeah, me too. Playing the Melbourne Storm. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. You'd think going off the 20 years that Melbourne have won round one, I'm going to go Parramatta in this one.
Oh, you're going to stick to the script then, yeah.
Yeah. I just think they're going to break the curse of the Melbourne Storm winning round one. I think this is going to be Bellamy's last year. I think he's going to lose it on his last, like the Undertaker.
Fantastic. Good way to go out. Agreed. Parramatta for mine. No Ryan Pappenhausen. No, Nick Meaney's a good player, but he's not Ryan Pappenhausen. They've lost Justin Olam. I think Liero's gone for the season, so their backline's going to be patched together. Tough ask. Go to Parramatta on Thursday night. It's going to be almost a sellout, I heard.
And they'll be fired up after their last game being a grand final.
They'll have remembered the game that we forgot on purpose. So, look forward to this. I feel like it's going to be close. Parramatta 1-12.
Yeah, I think Parramatta 18, Melbourne 14.
Works for me.
There you go.
Yeah, look, I'm not sure why, but Dan has decided to send me to New Zealand, so I figured if I'm in New Zealand, better do a little bit of work. But before that, I'll bring you my TopSport tips for the week. While I'm in New Zealand, might as well start off with the Warriors versus Knights game over here, round one kickoff. Look, two teams that will be fighting it out for the wooden spoon, so this is two really important competition points for them. You got a Warriors team that had a really, really good pre-season, very competitive against the Storm. Obviously blew the West Tigers reserves away, and then you have the Knights who got flogged in both the games that they played. They've got some injuries, they've got some form concerns. Is Kalen Ponga going to be a 6 this year? I'm not quite sure, and because of that, I'm going to go with the Warriors to win this game and win it quite comfortably. I'm going to pick them by about 13 plus in this game as well. I don't think it's going to be close. I think the game will be over at half time. That crowd at New Zealand is going to absolutely tear the Knights apart. And they just won't be able to get into the game. Forward pack will rip into them. The back line will capitalise on it. Warriors, big for me.
Of course, Friday night football, the main event. Penrith, who may have won a premiership last year and the year before, as they keep telling us.
Haven't heard about it.
No, I mean, playing against the Brisbane Broncos. Is there any way Brisbane can win this game?
If Penrith are a bit rusty, but I mean they're too classy still. They've lost a few players, yes, but I still think they'll have too much for the Bronx, unfortunately.
Agreed. Look, we haven't seen Team this Tuesday. This should drop an hour before, hopefully. Adam Reynolds didn't play a trial game.
No.
There's talk that he's probably going to be named. You worried about him?
I am, and I still think South should. I feel vindicated after cutting him loose because how many games has he played for the Broncos? Maybe 15, 16, and it's just going to get worse. And if he doesn't play this week, there's no chance.
100%. I think if he plays, there's no chance anyways.
Yeah.
Penrith 13 plus for me. This, I'm not going to say tip of the round. I got one later, but I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, the next game I got is Manly taking on the Bulldogs. I feel this is going to be a real grind of a game. It's going to be a slugfest. We've seen from the Bulldogs against the Sharks in the trial game that they're just going to be happy to capitalise on mistakes and try and defend their way to a victory. Saw Manly in the pre-season were happy to throw the ball around, score plenty of points, play some flamboyance. There was a confidence in DCE that we haven't seen for a very long time. That Manly backline, it's young, it's powerful. It took some hits last year, but they're better for it now. At Brookvale, it's going to give them the advantage. I'm going to go Manly in this game in a close one. I don't think the Dogs have got enough points to stay with them. Manly will, it'll be close, and then expect a late try to really seal the deal for Manly in this game. But 2 points for Manly.
Moving on to the 5:30 game, the Cowboys looking to improve on, a prelim, pretty good season last year. Against Canberra, who were really bad in the trials. Does it matter?
I cannot get a read on the Raiders at all. They could be a top 4 side or they could get the spoon. I literally don't know. So I'm going to go with Cowboys. I think at home, I think they're prepped for a prime for a big season. Yeah. I think they'll be pushing for a title, actually. So I think they'll do the job at home. Not
willing to go that far, but I agree they're going to make, not easy work, but it's going to be a good afternoon. This will be close to a sellout. They'll want to get back there after a fantastic season. Val Holmes will score a try in this game. Just lock it in. Absolutely 100%. I don't even know who the Canberra centres are going to be yet, but it doesn't matter. Val's going to tear them apart. Ruben Cotter is going to have the season of all seasons. I think this is the easiest game to pick of the weekend. I think the Cowboys are dead set locked.
Yeah, they're locked in.
Probably lose by 40 now, but
hopefully.
Get on it. Cowboys, congrats on your round 1 win.
Yeah, look, Souths and Sharks, arguably game of the round, except now it looks like Nico Hines, he's going to be given up until the captain's run to prove his fitness. I don't think Craig Fitzgibbon's going to run with him this week. I think Braden Trindle will be playing halfback on the weekend, and that tips the ball even more in South's favour. The round 1 hoodoo also tips the ball in South's favour, and because of that, I'm going to go with the jinx straight away. Did it last year in the finals, it didn't work. I'm going to do it now, it's probably not going to work either, but I'm going to jinx South Sydney and pick them in this game. Probably pick them comfortably as well. I think Latrell Mitchell's in for a really, really big year, and without the Dalian halfback and arguably the best player on the planet at the moment out for the Sharks, it's going to be a tough uphill battle. 2 forward packs that have, going to just rip and tear into each other, but I think you're going to get the quality of Cody Walker and Latrell Mitchell going to shine through. Don't know if you've got that quality there for Trindle and Matt Moylan. I hope we do. They did it last year against Melbourne, but jinx on Souths.
On to a not-so-super Sunday as the Dolphins host the Roosters.
The second-rate Finn.
Definitely second-rate.
Definitely second-rate Finns. I can't see anything but an absolute hammering.
You know that tradition of you cop 50 points, you're gone? They're gone, round one. See you later.
I mean, they were gone pre-season, but let's make it official.
50 points, Roosters, get on it. This is going to be as close to the easiest game of all time.
Sawali might score 6 tries.
Yeah, is there any way, COVID aside, that Dolphins can win this game?
The only way I can see is just that first game pride, they somehow nudge out a 12-10, something ridiculous. But that's not happening. They're going to lose.
You've seen Space Jam, right?
I have.
That for the Roosters players. That's the only way the Dolphins can win.
Now, look, the last game of the round, Dan, Tigers and Titans. Now, I watched back on the video you stitching me up and making me pick the Tigers every week. Well, I got you back, and you have to pick the Titans. So, I don't really know who's going to win this game, and I don't really care, but I have to pick the Tigers. You have to pick the Titans, and it's a real depressing way to end round 1.
Hey everyone, thanks again for tuning in to this edition of Rugby League Outlaws, Reverse Mad Monday. As you can see, we went all out in the costumes.
Yep.
So, look, thanks again to our sponsors, of course. We're here in Punctured Media every week. Make sure you subscribe. They've got some great content, mainly of us, but there's some other good things. And, of course, TopSport. Make sure you get on them, onelittlefootyfan.com.au and the Stubby Club. Mate, thanks, Josh. Thank you so much for coming on, mate.
Mate, anytime. My pleasure. Happy to see you.
We've got a big week of football coming up. Anything you want to add before we go?
Rugby league, baby.
I hate when people do that.